After years of waiting, well, I don't know if years, but months at least, we are finally there. This is the structural steel episode. We got finally our contractor to come in. He's highly recommended from our structural engineers, so we have high hopes. All our contractors have been amazing, I have no doubt. This new contractor will also be great, so check that out.
Thursday afternoon, about 5 p.m., I took a day off from work because we're so excited. Tomorrow we have the steel contractor coming after months, if not years, of looking for one. So it's a special day. Now, turns out that they need some bracing material. And I sort of accidentally ordered like 8 extra pieces of these 2x12s for the shed. It was a mess up. We were doing LSS and then we changed. But anyways, we have this extra material. So instead of buying more material, I decided to rip this. And these are 2x12s. We need 2x4s for bracing. So I can get 3 pieces out of those ones. So let me show you how I rip them. So I learned this tip from RR Builders and I'm eternally grateful. This thing here is called a stair gauge. And the way it works is you just put it on your saw, you clamp it, and then there's just minimum measuring, just where you need to start and finish. And I put a couple of marks, like here's one, like every 3 feet or so, just to make sure that I'm on track. Here is the other tip I have for you. When you place it, put a little mark, so when you are cutting, you know that the gauge has not moved out of place. And that's pretty much it. The way it works is you just put your saw, give me a second, there you go. And then with no marking or anything, just make sure that this sticks to the edge of the wood. And maybe there. And there you have it. Straight line. Perfectly done. Thank you, RR Builders.
So after day one, our structural steel engineer, contractor, has begun work. He basically installed these 4 posts that you see here. These are HSS 4x4 beams. If you haven't seen our shorts, you can check them out. Maybe I'll include some of them in here. Their purpose for their thickness is they're called moment frames, and really they are so thick so that we can prevent bend. For the most part, we get wind coming in from that side to this side, so this will be taking the entire load of the wind side. So I don't know, most of this is designed by our structural engineer, and he would know much better, but this is basically what I've heard. This entire process will take about 2 weeks, hopefully, because this is so freaking expensive. If we go any longer than that, we'll go broke. So this better get done in like the 2 weeks. And this is probably going to be the last episode of the year, because precisely of that, we won't have any more money to do anything else until next year. So day one. Day 2 is over. Our steel contractor is busy at work. I want to show you some things that got taken care of. So first I want to show you these plates over here. They are actually pretty tight, but they actually fit perfectly. And the reason for that is because I designed the entire house by model on Blender, but on the computer. I only gave these plates like a 1/4 inch wiggle room. They fit, but I think the contractor actually mentioned that we should have made these holes a little bit bigger. But anyway, it still worked, and it's still within a 1/4 of an inch, so high precision when you do computer work. The next thing, actually more toned to day 2, is we have this big plate And in this big plate, we have another HSS 4x4, which are these like big fat posts. And then they connect to each other. And then we have one big post that goes all the way to the roof that will hold the ridge beam. We had, unfortunately, some misalignment on it. And unfortunately, it got welded incorrectly. But on the bright side, like I said, this is modeled by computer, so I know precisely where it needs to go. So I was able to talk to the steel contractor. He came today, he got this plate taken care of, and hopefully tomorrow for day 3, this post will go to the ridge beam, and we will finally be able to see the entire height of the house. And then finally, on the second day, we got this massive post. This is for the basement or half basement, whatever you want to call it. And this is going to hold a 4-foot cantilever for the kitchen. This is massive because with this, we are finally able to build the entire floor system of the basement, if you will. And then with that, we're finally going to be able to build a tiny house. So this is giving us enough work for like months now. Although we're going to try to finish the entire steel as much as we can, and we'll go from there. So you'll get to see all of it happen. So we're in the transition between day 2 and day 3, and we actually got some homework from our steel contractor. I actually am not sure why he doesn't do it, but anyway, we'll just do it. So what that is we have to put non-shrink grout underneath these metal plates. We have a couple of them. We have the post in the center, and then we have this one. So basically, I've never done it before. We got this QuickCrete from Home Depot. This is grout, not cement or not concrete or anything like that. It does have a cement component, but it's different. So this is a little bit more fluid. It's more liquidy. And it is high strength because it is structural and non-shrink as well, so it won't shrink. The key thing is we've never done this. I've watched a couple of YouTube videos about it. I've read the instructions on this. Doesn't seem too particularly complicated. So the first thing will be clean up the surface, make a little housing to hold the grout, and then we'll mix it with our old drill from like the insulation episode, and we'll go from there. Okay, I just vacuumed the post. It should be clean enough. So now it's time to make some grout, and we'll just put the entire hole up to the plate. It's been a few days since we gave our last update. I know we were doing like day 1, day 2, day 3. And so the structural steel went away on vacation for a week, and then he came back. It was good, I guess. We had snow during that time. He came back. He spent maybe another couple days working on this, and he finished a lot of the work. Unfortunately for us, he did not finish everything. As you can see, we have a big pile of metal over there. And that's basically going to be phase number 2. But look at this. You can see the big posts now for what we call the tiny house. They're huge. You can now see how tall the house is going to be. I kind of feel bad about the neighbors over there because they're going to be losing their view very, very shortly. So goodbye to their view. They should enjoy it while it lasts. Over here we have the wide flange beams. These are for what we call the Zen area. This is probably going to be the best view of the entire house. If you see that post over there, we're going to have a deck cantilevering over there, and it's going to be hanging, and the view is basically going to be incredible. One thing I can definitely say that I'm not very happy about is, you see where that level is back there? There's a post. Then we have another post back here, and another post back there. So we were supposed to have a big a white flange beam connect in a cross form, and it did not happen. So I'm kind of disappointed because we didn't really need to put these posts if we were not going to put that beam there. We asked the sub if he was capable of doing it. He said he was. So we ended up spending extra money to put these posts. And then at the end of the day, he didn't do it. So I'm definitely not happy about it. At the end of the day, I guess I kind of understand. We got a big windstorm and the metal was swinging back and forth. So I can understand the point. I don't blame it necessarily, but am I happy? No, I'm not happy. So we had a huge windstorm a few days ago, and a lot of this bracing ended up falling actually. And so the problem is they were held just by friction going that way, but here where the house is, the wind flows that way. So it flows from west to east. So a lot of our bracing ended up falling actually, and the metal was swinging. I was kind of afraid this would fall. Luckily it held, and we were able to fix this for the windstorm. So what we've done for the bracing, let me show you, is we've put a little string up here that holds the brace in place. So the force is pushing that way, but if wind comes in from left or right, it'll hold it in place. And it is actually being held by the other brace over there. So you can see it over there. So I would say this is a good tip for bracing if you don't have a good way to nail onto something. On the ground, it's not a big deal, but if you have to take care of another axis, I would say this is the way to go. So the subcontractor did not level all the heights of the posts to be exactly at the right height. So he basically left it up to me. And so the goal is for us to do grouting tomorrow because it's going to be a nice warm day. It's been super cold recently, so we haven't been able to grout due to the temperature and the concrete and that kind of stuff. So that said, I have measured all the heights with laser, the differences in height. And so I now know what I need to do when it comes to the posts, whether to move them up or to move them down. I'm using these two posts up here because they are already set, they are level, independent of what Blender said. So I'm going to level against those posts, and yeah, I'll just go from there. So here you can see my original laser line, and hopefully you can see here the laser as well. So this is the difference in height that needs to be increased for this post to be at the correct height. Once I get this post at the correct height, I'm going to be adjusting all the other posts around the perimeter. So now you can see that the post is now at the correct height. That's my difference. And you can also see it's nice and level. The only problem is it is nice and level along the axis, but it's not nice and level along this axis. So before we grout, I'm going to need to brace it and pull it a little so that it is straight.
It's Thanksgiving weekend and we have something to be pretty grateful of, and it's today's weather. So since the metal contractor finished the work, we haven't had any day above freezing temperatures, and that has been frustrating because we had to apply grout under the metal columns, and we didn't know how long it was going to take, but today is the day. The next opportunity may be months away. So today we have 18 hours of being above freezing continuously, and that's perfect because we are applying this non-shrink grout. It's from QuickCrete, and this one takes 3 days to cure. However, you need to have at least 12 hours of above freezing temperatures. So we got to do this today. So now, here is what we are doing. The first step is to build like a frame for the grout. We do the boxes as tight as we can, but then since the concrete is not perfect, then we are applying a bit of Lexel, and it's going to go pretty much at all the edge of the frame, and hopefully that's going to help us stop any leaks. you need to know that for this application, the grout needs to be in fluid condition. So even if you have a small hole, it can just start going out pretty quickly. And that happened to us. And we said, okay, what can we do now? And we found out that if you apply snow, it kind of, it blocks everything and it stops the leak. So I don't know if this would be a pro tip, but it certainly worked for us. And that's it. So now we're just going to let it rest. We're going to be at 10 Celsius today. So it's the perfect time to do this.
Hey, so here I am, very busy at work, looking at how our grouting went. But it is also the World Cup, so we have to be watching it. Right now, the USA is playing in England. We just recently watched Ecuador draw with the Netherlands. But here, check out, here's our setup. We have a wireless hotspot on the phone. We have our nice little Bluetooth, which, by the way, we have to do a review on this little thing. It's amazing. So yeah, right now, England, USA, minute 10, 0-0. So these are World Cup setup. We might be working, but we're also listening. So let's go USA.
So this is it for part 1 of the steel. We're not done yet. The contractor needs to come back, but this is as far as we can go right now. Our grout is curing. We already fixed all these columns for plumb and height and everything. So that's where we are. Before the contractor can continue, we need to build the floor system, and pretty much we're going to try to build as much as we can so he can finish everything in one go. Honestly, we are a bit frustrated because we see commercial buildings getting all the steel built at once. We don't know why it's not possible with residential, but it is what it is right now. For future projects, we don't plan to use steel, and that's a tip I can give you. If your architect says like, oh, would you mind having steel? Say no. It's extremely expensive. You need to schedule the contractor, and just to give you an idea, the equipment rental, it's extremely pricey. The crane itself was $300 per hour. So if they ask you for steel, say no. So that's pretty much where we are right now. I guess that's it for this episode. So we're going to see you on part 2 for steel at some point. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.